Welcome back to the OG Rivals podcast. I am Miles Teddick, one of your hosts here, the Packer fan on this podcast, and I am joined by another loser. We're both losers. Sorry, man. They're just facts right now. We're both carrying L's out the gate. I'm ripping the Band-Aids off on this one. Sir Miguel Prado. We're going to have some fun tonight, man.
Yeah, is that orange, Miles? Is that orange you're wearing?
You know, this is a good orange. This is not bad guy orange like the orange that you got. This is good guy orange.
Yeah. Picks a color scheme and goes with orange and blue. Gotta love it.
They're good colors in the right tint. You know, certain tints don't work. Others, it's beautiful. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what color I don't like, Miles. I don't like that burgundy that the Commanders they have. It's just it's not appealing. And then when the defensive line is just barreling down at you all game, you get sick of that color pretty quickly.
Yeah, I believe that. It's kind of an ugly color to begin with, to be honest.
Yeah, but you know what's not ugly? You mentioned it's a good color scheme. Why don't you tell us about who's sponsoring the show tonight? I think we have a good one for everybody.
The ones that want us to feel better today. You know, when we're both carrying L's. And we got to get into it. We got to talk about it. We got to hope that we don't have 2 more L's coming at us this next week. We want to feel better today, right? You know, everybody wants to feel better today. So the folks at Life Leaf Remedies, we are trying to help you do that. I told you all last week we have a little bit of a special coming up with our gummies. I was not lying to you. Right now and through the end of the month, get some Sweet Dreams on us. That's right, some Texas Sweet Dreams gummies. Every time you spend $75 or more on the website, you will get a free bottle of our 60-count gummies. This is not some weak little sample. We've done those in the past. This is 60 count, 6-0, big bottle of gummies, Sweet Dreams that are delicious and make you feel good as well. So please check that out. Come and see us at lifeleafremedies.com. Get a subscription on any product and don't pay for shipping, y'all. It's that simple. Why would you pay for something you don't need to pay for right now? Inflation's a thing. Get there, subscribe, don't pay for shipping. Come and take advantage of some of these things we got going on. And most of all, feel better today. And, sir, you have some homework for our listeners, our loyal, dedicated listeners that we love so much. What is that?
Yeah, well, you just got me thinking. If you can get good sleep in this economy, Miles, I mean, you can't put a price on that. Definitely take advantage of that offer there from lifeleafremedies.com. And then do not forget to spike that like button, leave us a comment, subscribe, and talk about us at your next tailgate. And they're going to start getting pretty cold, Miles. Temperatures turning up north. I'm not sure if you've gotten an opportunity to check out some of the radar in Green Bay, but as we're going into mid to late October, that's when things get a little spooky out there weather-wise.
Oh yeah, it does get spooky. I'll be honest, man. As somebody who's been to multiple fall and winter Packer games, there's a spook out there, man. It's dark. It's cold. It's creepy. Let's be real about it. It's creepy out there. So. Everybody stay safe and have fun, but it 'tis the season, y'all. Football weather is upon us, and we got hopefully a good turnaround game brewing between those two.
Oh, absolutely. And Miles, I got to say, so the Bears they're on a 3-game losing streak, and I want you to understand and just know that I feel your pain, but I think it's safe that you might feel my pain here, with this latest little stretch of surprising. I'd say London and last week was a bit surprising with the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, surprising. And certainly you can look back on the last 3 weeks. I think it's important to acknowledge that maybe those teams aren't as bad as we thought going into those games. And that's certainly not a cop-out because you can look at the games and go, you should have done better. And that doesn't excuse any of those things that we didn't do better. But no, it's, hopefully we don't feel your pain. Hopefully we overcome these Commanders and get the W and turn things around here. I'll be honest. I got a rant. We have some things to air out against Mr. Aaron Rodgers and the rest of the neighborhood. Um, but I'll also kind of put a disclaimer on the front of that and say this feels a lot like one of those relax moments. And
Does it?
I may be, wishful thinking. There hasn't been like any kind of a signature thing that Rodgers has said. But for all of his faults and all the things that we can rant about, he does have a bit of a calming presence, and that's what you need in these kind of situations where you've got you're back against the wall. You've lost some games you don't think you should lose. You did it in a way you certainly shouldn't have done it. So yeah, it does feel like one of those moments where they kind of just take a breath, turn it around. I don't think you're going to see any kind of drama unfold, even though there is a little bit of back and forth about simplifying the offense and LaFleur not knowing what that means. But I think that they're much more likely to kick things under the rug and just push that debt out into the future. Um,
Well,
in
listen,
in the interest of
it's
winning the
early.
game here. Yeah.
It's early, right? I mean, there's a lot of football left to be played. Just perspective here. Today, right? We're recording. Packers are 3-3. You'd be in first place in the NFC West. I think you mentioned it. Surprising the type of caliber of teams that the New York Giants and New York Jets are turning out to be and shaping up to be. I mean, the Giants are 5-1, and
Yeah, they look
the
legit.
Jets are 4-2.
Yeah, and I know
So
everybody wanted the Jets to, they seem like the old Jets that have always stunk. They don't, I mean that's, and I kind of tried to warn against that going into this game. Robert Sala's got LaFleur's number. LaFleur's brother is running that offense. I mean, they know LaFleur like the back of his hand. Unless you've got a big advantage and something different to offer, they're gonna clean you up just like he always has, even when he was the DC for San Francisco. So, we can't be too surprised by these things. It's a way they did it. When you watch the game and you see what happened, what didn't happen, it's just very frustrating to see certain things, and we'll get into that too. But yeah, even the Patriots, they look pretty darn good. So winning that game close is maybe not a bad thing. Maybe that was something that we should rally around and be happy that they found a way to win a close game like that. The Jets felt like a trap game. If I was being honest with myself, I probably should have abandoned my homer ways, but I really did think they had the ability to turn it around in that game. And the Giants look real. Like, that whole thing, equalizer in London, again, the Giants look like a real team. So if you're losing these games in ways that you think you could have won them, should have won them, and these end up being good playoff teams, well, this part of the season looks totally different. So people saying panic, abandon ship, you don't look the same, a few weeks down the road. So I'm not willing to go there, not just yet. I think, we got to get into it. But what about you, man, with the Bears? You thought you kind of felt the same way. You could go into that game against the Commanders and get a bit of a turnaround. Now, did they just turn out to be a better team than you thought, or did the Bears just stink it up?
yeah, so my honest reflection here is that going into that game, I obviously predicted that the Bears would win that Thursday night matchup. My main takeaway was that the Bears are not a very talented football team. And it's just like coming to that realization. It's a completely different perspective and feeling than the Matt Nagy era of that type of frustration where you're just watching it and it's some head scratchers, but it's growing pains is what I would call these with
Yeah.
very little talent. And it's really tough. And I say tough because I think that this is discipline to not just immediately do an about face and start like overreacting and saying that Ryan Poles just completely botched his first off season as a GM. But it's just some things to question, right? And it's the Bears, every key position. We're talking head coach, offensive coordinator, who's calling plays, defensive coordinator, GM, assistant GM. All of these hires, Miles, were in different roles last year. None of the positions where people are in today were filled with that same scope of responsibility last year, right? Luke
Right.
Getsy was a quarterbacks coach. Matt Eberflus was a defensive coordinator, right? And so it's just one of those where it's like a perfect storm. And there's no scapegoat here, Miles. So I'm not, going to say, hey, here's what's going on. It's just the reality of the situation, right? And what stinks is the Bears are 2-4, and currently, if we're drafting tomorrow, they're in the 12th spot. And so I don't know if you remember, that was my prediction in the preseason,
Pretty
was like, hey, this
close.
team's
Yeah.
it's gonna be in that 12 to 10 range. Now I would be surprised if we don't start creeping towards that, like, top 10, top five. Just because it's not whether they can go out and beat teams or win these games. Like, I'm sure they will, but it's just, we need to start getting just basics down, right? Like the pass blocking, the timing on offense. Like, those are going to be puzzle pieces that need to fall into place before we're winning games. But yeah, those are my initial takeaways. It's just, this team is just depleted talent wise. Um, but I think there's some good things to talk about along the way.
Yeah, I mean that's the outsider's perspective that I have too. I mean, you have to kind of acknowledge that this was coming, right? This was what it looks like to have a bunch of 1 year contract free agents, what it looks like to have a bunch of salary cap that's dead from a previous administration. There's all sorts of things that you're just having to sit through right now. And lack of talent is certainly one of them. Now, again, we talk about this a lot, but I think anybody who's pushing the eject button, panic button, whatever you want to say on Justin Fields, I think you're getting a little bit too impulsive. You got to
Oh,
see what this kid
absolutely.
looks like with a real supporting cast around him, and give him some time to really get comfortable in a situation, in a system, and with the play calling, with the strategy and the routine. It's just the first year of any of it is going to be hard, and if you guys can point to the first year of an experiment like this going well, please, somebody point to it. But usually, we've talked about it, with a young quarterback, with a young system, a young collection of people like what you're talking about, you need a year. The first year is going to be ugly. It's going to be, it's just kind of an up and down mess. But, you've got that collection of resources waiting on the other side in the offseason for you. You got to remember that.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And when you say lack of talent, like, just to put it in perspective, and I'm paraphrasing here. So, like, Tyreek Hill in Miami, his contract is structured at around 24 million. That's one player. The Bears' entire wide receiver room is right around 4 million as far as salary cap. So just think about, like, how drastic that puts it into perspective. Like, one player, Tyreek Hill, absolute stud wide receiver, playmaker, continuously pushing defenses to the limit, right? This guy's pulling $24 million as far as an annual contract. In contrast, right, like, you talking talent wise, I mean, that entire Bears room isn't even tipping $5 million, right? And so that's where it's like, yes, is there a talent deprivation, like that this front office has created? And it's one of those where it makes it very easy to point fingers and be like, come on, guys, like, what are you doing? Why are you not, giving Justin a fair shake, right? But I think it's one of those where it's just the mess that was inherited, that was left by Ryan Pace. I mean, you look at the first round picks on the team today. There's 2 first round picks on the team, right? Like,
Yeah,
you
that's
can't win.
not
You
how
can't,
you
like,
evaluate a quarterback.
no, talent wise, like you can't do that. You can't do that in this league. Not in the NFL where, even bottom of the NFL teams are prepared to go in there and beat you, and they're trying
Right.
to, right? Like you just can't do that.
Yeah, no, it's tough to make it through that. You got to find those silver linings. There were some seasons similar to that with the Packers where you're just looking for players to develop. You're looking at certain position
Yeah.
groups to take steps forward. So I think that's what you got to keep an eye on. Then you
Well,
got us over here and the Packers on the other side with all the collection of talent in the world doesn't know how to freaking use it. Now
we'll see,
I don't
Miles. I
know
wanted
what's
to
more
ask you a
maddening.
quick question here because I think I've seen, and maybe you can put some color here. Is there a quarterback controversy right now?
No. There is on Twitter, I guess, and I certainly have voiced my opinion about certain things. And no, there's not a quarterback controversy until Rodgers walks away, which Florio is over there just wrenching his hands, hoping that it happens. He's gonna quit. I don't know if you guys saw that. He had a segment with Chris Sims where he literally contemplated who would quit midseason first, Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. And I'm just like,
Oh,
dude,
jeez.
do you know either of the two people you were talking about? This one of them is risking his marriage to one of the most beautiful, wealthy women, mother of his children. He's literally risking his marriage to play football. So you think he went into the season without understanding that? Like he still did it. Like, come on, man. Like,
Yeah, losing to the Jets, it drives people crazy, huh?
it does. It drives people absolutely nuts. It drives me nuts.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I
Brady was
think
losing it on the sideline there. Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers now. People are talking about potential retirement after this season. I mean, what's going on, Miles?
Well, and that's why I think that this is one of those relaxed moments because you have, and the Packers this is again what we go back to the rat poison. They listen to this crap. They listen to what people say, and it works because a lot of times they're hearing this. Oh, Rodgers is going to retire. Oh no, they're hating each other now. They don't like. They lean into that. They lean into these ideas of what people think they are and proving that wrong. And then, it poisons them whenever the talk is how great they are and how much they should win by. And then they go out and trip over their shoestrings. So no, I don't think there's a quarterback controversy. I will say, and I'll continue to say, and this is more of a criticism against Aaron Rodgers than anything else, there are situations that if Jordan Love was the quarterback, they would have won those games. The Giants, you need a couple yards. Yeah, if Jordan Love's your quarterback, you're damn right. Those running backs are getting the first shot at getting those yards. They're getting a couple shots before you put it in Jordan Love's hands to win the game. So if you can run the ball effectively and you don't stop running the ball effectively, you don't lose that game. Does that mean that Jordan Love's a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers? No, not at all. Does that mean that if Jordan Love starts the entire game that they are in a winning position? Maybe not necessarily. That's why these ifs, ands, and buts are all kind of tough to say. But situationally, so if Aaron Rodgers got hurt and at the end of that game, they're driving down there, they're relying on the running backs. They're not relying on Jordan Love to win them that game. So it's just a criticism of Aaron Rodgers and his decision making. And it's a criticism of his level of play. He's not living up to it. So he's making these decisions, thinking, "Oh, I can make this throw. I can make we can do this." He sucks throwing beyond 15 yards. He's like Uncle Rico. He can't hit anybody beyond 15 yards. It's crazy. You go back and watch these the last few weeks. Aaron Rodgers beyond 15 yards is embarrassing. I mean, he looks like the gif of what people were saying about Mitch Trubisky. He can't hit anybody, and it's not even really close in a lot of these cases.
That's comeback kid Mitch Maserati.
Yeah, he's
Maserati Mitch there. Yeah, he don't ever try to bring Trubisky into your rant about Aaron Rodgers. I wonder how our loyal listeners, the disrespect here.
The disrespect.
Well, let me ask you this, so we can kind of put a bow on this. What would you want at that position long term? Where are you at with that position long term? I
I,
want to hear your thoughts there.
I I will say, and this is where I think that these guys will just bury this under the rug and they'll pretend it doesn't exist. I do think that there's some conflict in that room, and I do think that everybody knows that LaFleur is the one who will endure that conflict, regardless of how long that is, right? Like, so if there's a spat and then Rodgers, like Mike Florio's little fantasy over there, Rodgers up and quits mid-season. Well, LaFleur is the one who's there. Or if it drags out and Rodgers retires at the end of the season, well, LaFleur will still be there. So the point is his system needs to be run the way it's intended to be run. And there have been these hints about what's going on and hero ball and Aaron Rodgers. And I said it last week. He's cool with telling you about all these adjustments and play calls that he makes whenever they work. You don't hear him taking a whole lot of responsibility for those two plays at the end of the Giants game where he just throws the ball right into the defenders without even considering running the ball. And again, I'm not going to do a double rant. We already did that last week, but we didn't see anything different against the Jets. You never saw, and what you didn't see is enough of Aaron Jones, period. And that's a problem, man. If you're gonna again brag about you can make play calls, you can make adjustments, you can check out of this, check into that, get your best player the ball. Like, unless you hate this guy and you're trying to like tank his career, get him the freaking ball. I mean, it's irresponsible at this point. It's irresponsible that not just one, but two of the better running backs. I mean, A.J. Dillon is one of the better running backs in the league. I'd give him top 15 at least. And you've got both of these guys in the backfield where you can create deception for a defense and make them have to guess which one is going to get the ball and how. I mean, that could create nightmares. And if you think you can't get 2 yards with that, you're smoking crack out there, dude. It's not ayahuasca. It's crack.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
Powerful
seriously.
words tonight, Miles.
But he's super intelligent, big time intelligent quarterback and all of this and that. And I've said these things about him, but he's not demonstrating that right now.
Well,
and that is the most frustrating
we have
thing.
mentioned that ayahuasca can change a man.
Oh, no shit. Maybe he needs
It
to try some more to change back. Golly.
Yeah, he needs a different shaman or something.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's frustrating to watch him, make poor decisions, and that's really what it comes down to for me. You can talk about, losing to the Jets. Well, they might actually be a good team. I'm not really concerned about that, nor am I surprised that Robert Saleh still has Matt LaFleur's number and LaFleur hasn't figured it out. That was a real trap game for them, and I don't even think it's fair to the Jets to call it a trap game. The Jets seemed like the better team. They played with more heart, like the Giants, and they just played better. They were a better
you
unit.
You mentioned the rat poison, Miles, and with it got me thinking, like, against the Patriots, Bill Belichick came out and just praised, and he's probably the best at this. Like, I saw somewhere that he should have a master's in psychology, right? Like you mentioned when he was getting ready, like no bulletin board material, and he just did that again today or yesterday with a 7-minute uninterrupted praise of the Chicago Bears. And I don't even think I could go on this podcast, Miles, go 7 minutes straight about positives of the Chicago Bears.
That's why he's one of the best of all time. It really is.
I mean, that is a master class. That is a beautiful mind. If you can go 7 minutes and just praise and just keep it coming, golly, that was that's something. I mean, I don't feel good about going into that game. It's prime time.
Yeah, no, he's gonna perform. I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I wish that the Packers would self-scout and be as aware of the psychology as Bill. because he is also doing, like we said, he makes adjustments. He plays the game that's in front of him that he's dealt, and the Packers still aren't doing that. So it's just like, and I will say the defense made changes week to week here. You know, they held up their end of the deal. I tweeted that before and during the game. But the offense isn't producing, and eventually the defense can only hold for so long.
Yeah,
So I'm still frustrated, And the
you're
other
still
thing is that
frustrated.
I am. Well, and the other thing is the Patriots. Going into that game, we believe they weren't very good, and then you get Bailey Zappi, your third string quarterback, and you're thinking now they're really not very good. You know what they did? They ran the stinking ball. They ran it really, really well, and they kept the Packers' best players off the field. Not that the Packers needed any help doing that. They've done that very well so far, and it's very frustrating to watch these other coaches do things and then to see your own coaches go, yeah, this is a problem, but then never make a change. I mean, I've been down here in Dallas for a long time. I had to watch the Cowboys fans go through it with Jason Garrett after every stinking game. It was the same thing. Trust the process, man. We got to get to the film. We got to get better. We'll get better. And it's like this we'll get better talk. And it's like, do you actually know what you're doing? Can you demonstrate something that tells us that you see that there is a problem where it is, and maybe that you have a potential solution for it even? And
So
that's
you
the
don't appreciate the coach speak.
no, it's annoying now because again, these guys have made it very clear who the play callers are. It's LaFleur, and then Rodgers has this freedom to check out. And so if they're both over here saying, "No, we love 33. It's a mistake that he doesn't have the ball," but you guys are both the play callers, so you're both fully in control of getting him the ball, and you're not doing it. It's like, you know, what is it like? And this was one of the
Yeah.
things that I tweeted out. It's like you can say all these things like, oh yeah, love 33. He's a great guy, great player. We got to get him the ball more. What's it like in the film room? Like when you guys sit down and you go play by play and you go, what happened here? Well, I called this. Well, I checked into that. Okay, why'd you check into that? Because of this. Okay, is there a point where you are tracking whether you agree with that or not? Or a point where you're like, man, we checked out of something to 33 for, a lot of times. Like he only touched the ball 4 times in the first half. Why did that happen? How many times did you check out away from him? That those are the questions I'd like to hear. How many times did you veer away and not, add that up where it's like, well, man, one of our best players just isn't touching the ball at all. What a mistake. I mean, that's what got McCarthy run out of town. It's one of the things it did. So now we're back here. We've come full circle. And the same player still can't get the ball. It's like, what? Why is it
Yeah.
that we're the only ones who don't know how to use a running back, especially now that we have a good one? Maybe it's because we went so long without having a good one, but it's maddening to me. So
Man, is
that's
it
one of my rants. We can
Miles is
close that
is
out.
he's on fire tonight. You're heating up, man. I'll say this is what comes to mind is the adjustments that would be made going into that game with the Commanders, right? Like their front seven is the real deal, right? Like overall as a unit, that team gets a lot of attention for not being particularly good. Um, the front seven is bringing it. The defensive line is one of the better talent wise. They have a couple first round picks on that defensive line, so I'd be curious to see what adjustments are made, especially with the ability to check out of some play calls, and how that game flow goes with that constant pressure up front. Because obviously you would want to at that point, keep that defense honest and not just let them pin their ears back and rush the quarterback. So at that point, I would anticipate, right, that you're handing the ball off more.
You should be. I mean, you need screens, you need draws, you need deception because yeah, the O line is a weakness and everybody sees it. That's the other thing is these teams, they have scouts watching all these other teams. So you can't sit here and think that
Well,
other teams don't realize that the Packers' offensive line is definitely not one of their strong points right now. And Aaron Rodgers doesn't play well whenever he's got a blitz in his face. So put two and two
well,
together, pin your ears back, and go.
yeah, I'll say this, Miles, is maybe Aaron Rodgers can take a yoga breathing class with Justin, because because he's been pretty vocal that is a practice that he started doing versus the Giants when they played, and um, he wanted to control his breathing more, right, in those frustrating moments. And I think Thursday night they got a really good shot of him in those
I
orange
saw
uniforms
that.
on the bench, just taking a deep breath. And boy, it's tough not to feel for him as he's getting beat up. I think if anything, he's showing he's tough. But yeah, I'd recommend Aaron Rodgers to maybe take a yoga breathing class with Justin and maybe just breathe through it here.
Well, and maybe do a little self reflection as a part of that, because the big question mark coming into this season that everybody wanted to talk about the Packers offense and the entire team basically being one of the worst in the league because Davante Adams left. It's not the Packers receivers that are at fault at this point. The Packers receivers has largely delivered on what they've been asked to do. The O line stinks. Aaron Rodgers stinks. The running backs are being underused in a way that is just disgusting. What I want to see here, and hopefully they can do it against these Commanders. Because the front seven is good. How good is the secondary? I don't. If there's a weakness on that defense, I would say it's probably in their secondary. Um, you got to be able to use that aggression against them, because that's what other teams have done. That's what the Giants did. The Giants came after Rodgers. Obviously, the Jets came after Rodgers. Teams see that if you get in his face quick, you can stop him because he doesn't have time to calculate and let his receivers play chase with the DBs and run away from them after so long. I mean, even the best DB in the league can only cover for so long. So yeah, I mean,
Well,
I want to see LaFleur nut up and take the lead on this. Get the ball out of the QB's hand and get a little bit more of your offense, a little bit more of a well-rounded strategy in there and run it. That's
would
what I
you
want to
say
see.
that Aaron Rodgers has regressed without Luke Getsy and Nathaniel Hackett?
I mean, you could certainly say that. It's not
You like
not
how I
true.
positioned that one?
Yeah, the positioning of that is very very nicely framed.
Yeah, yeah. And
No,
this is without journalism school here.
you're
This is
absorbing
just
it by osmosis. You're just out there.
Yeah, this is ad hoc podcasting here. We're fans. Listen, we're fans. Miles is obviously not taking the losses very well. Look, they're 3-3. Miles, you have them winning the Super Bowl. Do you still have them making that deep playoff run?
Well, I mean, a lot is unfolding. I did start this whole thing by saying disclaimer. I think this is one of those relaxed moments where they turn it around and just
Okay.
start ripping off wins. So, right now they're at this point where I can't explain the things that I think are going to happen. These are just feels of the universe, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think
I
they
got
turn
some
it
too.
around. Do they go on a Super Bowl run? I'm not going to stand on top of a mountain and pound my chest and say that's what's going to happen, but I'll still own my prediction. I'm not backing off of that. I watched them go, basically from a hopeless wild card team in 2010 to a Super Bowl champ, and just like that. So, I mean, anything can happen. I do think that this team makes the playoffs, and that's why I say anything can happen. So keep it
Yeah,
going. I think they get better here out. Hopefully, they get healthier here out. We'll see.
yeah. That's like I said, a lot of football to be played.
A lot of football.
Um, have a good opportunity to really show themselves what they're made of. I think it's a good opportunity there with the Commanders. The Bears, obviously coming off that game, I think not a lot of takes from that game. Obviously, it was a tough watch, but just I remember looking back and thinking that there's a force field around the end zone. Anytime that the Bears are down there knocking on the door in the red zone, it's like pulling teeth, man. It's I don't know what it is. It's just it's bad. And obviously with the first two possessions, Justin Fields ricocheting a football throw to an otherwise look like a wide open Cole Kmet. That goes for an interception, and then the very next series marches downfield to the red zone, and a lot has been made of missing Ryan Griffin, who appears to be wide open, and even Justin comes out and says, NFL quarterback, I have to make that toss. There's been some critique on watching that Ryan Griffin could definitely just, run that route, committed to running through the route, running to the football, right? And he had a bit of an awkward approach, freeing up from the line of scrimmage. But I think Justin hits the nail on the head, right? Like I have to make that. I have to have the ability to slow the game down, pace my guy and hit him in stride. Like I have to be able to do that. But those are the types of plays that I think, and I might get beat up for this one, but you just have to live with right now. Like you have to live with that, because obviously a big year, you'd want him to take that big step forward, but just have to keep everything in perspective and definitely have to live with those right now. There's a trade deadline, Miles, that's approaching.
Yeah.
I have the Bears obviously as sellers. Do you think the Packers might make any moves here at the deadline?
You know, again, this is one of those things where I kind of hope I'm wrong. I think they might. They probably will. They'll do the same thing that they've been doing. They'll be involved in everything, and then they'll, pick up some no-name free agent or practice squad guy, and hopefully that guy turns into an All-Pro like the last couple have. So yeah, I don't think they do anything exciting. I don't think you see an OBJ signing yet. I think he has to get healthy before they even consider that. If there's any trade that I would love to see happen, but I doubt could because I think it would be too expensive, is DJ Moore. I think that would be a badass trade. But I think that's one of those where, he'll get traded to like the 49ers or something, and we'll all throw our hands up and go, damn it, why couldn't we have done that? But that's just the life we live. So, no, kind of pessimistic on that. I think there will be kind of unexciting buyers. But so if the Bears are sellers, who are they selling? Who are you moving at the trade deadline if you're the GM right now?
Yeah, I think anybody not named Justin Fields, to tell you the truth. I mean,
Anybody
a
you can
lot of these
get value
guys,
for.
yeah, get value for it. I think he posted something or tagged me on something that was a meme like what bear take do you have that would have get this reaction from the crowd, and it was that dude that just has all those knives in his face,
Yeah.
right? And I almost tweeted off like trade Roquan, and this was like a couple weeks ago, but I didn't have it in me. But the reality is November 1st, that's the NFL trade deadline. And you said it, right? Going in the preseason, like you really start understanding what kind of football team you have at right around, week 4 and then make some assessments. I think right now it's just the reality that needs to be accepted, right? It's like, this is not a good football team. You had an opportunity in the offseason to maybe put feelers out on Robert Quinn. I'm in the minority. Right now, people are up in arms like, okay, if you trade him now, like the value that you're getting for him is minimal. I think that was the same trade value he had in the offseason, right? Going into this NFL season was, I mean, yeah, 18 and a half sacks last year, but he's been the definition of hot and cold in the NFL as far as having consistency, and he just is a boom or bust pass rusher. And I think teams know that, and teams aren't willing to mortgage the future for a streaky player like Robert Quinn, right? And so there's a lot of critique on, hey, he should have been moved in the offseason. I think move him now. Move him right now for a mid to late round draft pick, right? Just You can get, if anything, Miles, and worst case scenario, you save some money and you get some fresh legs, man. You get
Yeah.
some young 21-year-old pass rusher who's ready to prove himself. And if your scouting department and your GM and assistant GM who are scouts by nature, if they have it in them to go and get their guy with whatever draft capital they can yield on a Robert Quinn trade, you would be insane not to. You would be
Mm-hmm.
absolutely insane not to. So I anticipate Robert Quinn will be moved by that November 1st trade line. One that is a wrinkle that I just, my intuition is there's no way that you can turn around after this Roquan Smith holdout and everything that went down with that, and then his play up to this point going into week 7 of the NFL season, and say that he's a $20 million a year linebacker. Like, you just can't. You cannot say that. And anybody that would point to, well, he's leading the league in tackles. Again, I said this, backtrack to week 1 or week 2 in the NFL, and I told you, Miles, I said, those statistics, you're the best tackler on a non-playoff team, right? Like, you're the best defensive player on a non-playoff team. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Right?
You're
Like, nothing. It
average,
means
maybe.
absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. You're the best player on a team that's in Cancun in December, right? Or in January. Like that doesn't mean anything. Trade them. And if you can only get a mid to, maybe like a fourth or I don't, I see it being like a fifth and a fourth package, maybe a 3 if there's a very desperate team like Seattle that would just want a linebacker, right? I think he fits in Seattle's system. I think it could be a great move for him. Just go and get some draft capital. See what you can get. You're
Yeah.
not going to pay him 20 million next year. All right. And so I think that's one. And then when I say everybody not named Justin Fields, is because nobody on this roster not named Justin Fields is, to me, a franchise blue chip player. Right. Like, just
Right.
nobody out there. Like, I'm overreacting a little bit. Obviously, I am not taking into consideration any of the rookies, right? Because I think you have some potential, and you'd be out
Yeah,
of your
there's
mind to
guys you
trade
wouldn't
any of these
trade.
rookies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you wouldn't
absolutely,
trade them.
right?
You
So
got
I'm,
to
I'm
see what
only
you
thinking
got.
about who would feasibly be
Right.
available in these types of discussions, and right, like
A
the
Darnell
Briskers of the
Mooney, a
world.
David
Yeah,
Montgomery.
like Darnell Mooney, I would trade, right?
Yeah.
But I think they're working on the details of potentially an extension. David Montgomery, and I am probably one of the biggest David Montgomery fans out there. I think, excellent Iowa State running back, incredible talent. I'm a big David Montgomery guy. If you can get draft capital for him that's worth writing home for, you do it. You absolutely do it. Um, I don't want to get too far into my perspective of running backs in the NFL, because my perspective would be draft one every year, draft a
Yeah.
running back every single year, right? And I think we've seen that
Yep.
in the salary trends that we've seen in the NFL that have unfolded here. You're not seeing a lot of those mega deals going to the Ezekiel Elliott's of the world anymore. You just don't see it. So yeah, I would get some draft capital there. And I think they owe, if anything, with the type of abuse that Justin Fields is taking right now, they owe him making the moves that they can build a serviceable offense around him at least 1 year, right? Like, if he's not the guy next year, I think it's a whole different conversation. But you got to put $20 million receivers next to him. You have to.
You got to make a good faith move. I think you need to make sure that you add a meaningful body to the line, and you got to protect him. You're seeing it from Aaron Rodgers. If you can't protect him, it doesn't matter who your receivers are. He's not going to get it to him. You got to give him that time, get him protected, and then you get a receiver who can be a leader in a room, and let that guy work with some good role players. If this is a big debate right now across the league. Do you have to have the U.S. track team in your receiver room to win games? The Dolphins they're making a good shot at it, right? They've loaded that room, so we'll see. The Eagles, they loaded their room, looks pretty stinking good. But you can't do all of that in one off season. I mean, I mean, they did, I guess, in some case. Well, not really, because they've drafted some of those pieces too. Um, so yeah, you need probably two more off seasons before you're looking at that Bears offense going, dang, this thing is scary. Um, Assuming you can add the right parts, you don't miss on those things. But yeah, to your point about the running backs, I don't think that it's responsible to pay running backs big money at this point unless they are like an Aaron Jones, and even then, Aaron Jones meant a lot to that team in the locker room, right? I mean, they know that he's a great player on the field, but they've shown a willingness to move on from guys like that. I think that they knew that if they lost him, the locker room was not going to be the same, and they couldn't afford that. But when you got guys like that coming out of the later rounds of the draft, Alvin Kamara is coming out. I think he was like a 4th or 5th round pick. Aaron Jones is like a 6th round pick. These guys coming out of the later rounds, you're right. Just fish in that round for a running back every year, every other year, and you're probably cycling some decent talent through your backfield without having to pay premium for it. But that's where you kind of get into scouting patterns and who's a good scout and who's not, who knows what they're doing. You start noticing a team, being able to draft really well at a certain position. The Packers have done well with the receivers after the first round. Apparently, there's some kind of curse on the 3rd round for the Packers. Got to look into that a little bit.
Oh,
But
we'll take a look at it.
but yeah, man. I mean, I'm with you on the Bears thing. It sucks. You just got to endure it. You got to sit there
Well,
and hope for some fireworks at the trade deadline, I guess.
yeah, and I know, we are a fan. These are fan takes, right?
Yeah.
And I want to preface what I'm going to say next with that disclaimer that this is a fan take here. And I am no expert by any means, right? But that free agent class of wide receivers for next year, with as much money as the Bears have, they're leading the NFL in cap space. They're the number one team in cap space next season. But there's not a lot of talent on the free agent wide receiver list. There is, however, a lot on the offensive line. So Orlando Brown, Kansas City Chiefs offensive tackle, he held out this offseason. He not only held out, but he was also franchise tagged, disgruntled, and he is a free agent. And so keep in mind that Ryan Poles connection. Ryan Poles, coming from that Kansas City franchise, had eyes on every single rep Orlando Brown Jr. took with the Kansas City Chiefs with his time there. So he's very familiar with the type of player that he is. If he can get him, and I'm talking about a home run contract money wise, Miles. I'm talking a bag. Give Orlando Brown a bag of money and let him protect Justin Fields. Another offensive lineman that's going to be available is a little closer to home for you, Miles, is Elton Jenkins on the Green Bay Packers. So he's a free agent next year. He's going to be looking for
I
a
don't think he's
bag
making it. I don't
as
think he's making
well.
it to the market. I think the Packers are going to lock him up. They
You
know what
think they're
they
going to
got
lock him
there.
up with? You think they're going to lock him up with a tag, Miles? You think they're going to give him a nice little contract restructure?
I think they give him a bag. I think they
Yeah,
realize what they have there. Right now he's struggling at right tackle. He's not a tackle. He's a guard. But regardless, he's demonstrated the ability to fill in at left tackle pretty well. And I think that as he gets healthier, his game will come back a little stronger, even at a right tackle position. Yeah, that guy, when he's healthy, he's one of the best in the league. I think they'll pay him that way. They'll acknowledge that. They realize, you don't get guys like that every day. So
yeah.
yeah, I don't think he hits the market.
So
I know he's supposed to be
so
on it though.
he may not hit the market, Miles, but here's going to be the effect of that rival team down south in Chicago is if you don't think that Ryan Poles is going to set the market for Jenkins, and keep in mind that Luke Getsy connection, right? That's there is definitely gonna be a bidder that's gonna be raising the price on him regardless.
Well, and that's again, it's assuming he gets to the market. I think what you're more likely to see is probably even before the end of the season, they offer him a new contract or an extension.
Yeah, but he, I mean, that even then, he would have to essentially forego testing the market, right?
Yes,
Like
but
you
that's
think
what the
he,
Packers
so that's
try
a
to do.
substantial, right? But that's going to have to
Yes.
be substantial money, is what I'm
Oh
saying.
yeah. Oh yeah. They'll give him an amount that he doesn't have to think about. And that's where I think that they have done a very good job in the past of getting guys in season, get them early in the off season, even get the guys that they know they want. I mean, that's why the whole thing with Devonte Adams went the way it did, is everybody was surprised that they didn't get him done sooner, and that's where you kind of knew, like, all right, maybe this isn't gonna end well, because they have historically locked those guys up. I mean, it I don't know. There's all sorts of examples in the past. Bakhtiari's one. They always take care of those guys where there's just no question that's your guy. So that's what I would expect. I would expect that they would get him before he can even test the market, be tempted by some kind of unreasonable contract. And not to say that Ryan Poles would be wrong for doing that, like an Orlando Bloom deal. I think that's a brilliant idea. But yeah, you know how it goes. Like the first tier of free agents, they're always overpaid. The
Oh
contract,
yeah,
it gets set at an amount that you just don't want to have to contend with. So I think the Packers
look,
know that.
yeah. I mean, look at Kirk in Jacksonville. I mean, it's just completely that first wave of free agents. Yeah, they're overpaid, but that's where I say spend the money on the offensive line,
Yeah.
draft draft a couple of guys that you scouted at the wideout position, and I think you have a completely different offense at that point. Um, I also, just thinking here, with the upcoming games, there were some roster moves uh, after the week 6 matchup with the Commanders, and Amir Smith Marset. He is no longer a Chicago Bear. He was
Yikes.
waived. Yeah, and I think if anything, the silver lining there, is, I think you might remember, Miles, I mentioned that the Bears resemble Last Chance U a little bit, right? Like they're just flyers. They're taking flyers on these guys, and if they pan out, they pan out. If they don't, they don't. I think we're seeing not a lot of them panning out. I think the verdict is still out on obviously like the Velas Jones of the world, but it's nice to see them say, "Hey, we brought this guy in. It didn't pan out. We're willing to cut our losses early, give somebody else an opportunity to come in and take some reps. Getting promoted from the practice squad, and not letting pride or an ego be part of keeping a bad player in a position that they're just really not producing in for too long." So that's a nice, refreshing breath of fresh air coming out of Hallis Hall with this new regime, and we have a lot to, I think, just leave behind, take a deep breath, relax, right, and maybe look forward to week 7, which time's flying here.
Hey, all right. So let's jump into it, man. Bears Patriots week 7. What are we expecting here? You've been pretty accurate about what we were expecting. Which, by the way, I'll take credit for last week calling an ugly game that was happening. It is the Thursday night football curse that was just bound to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, what are we expecting here? Are you gonna give the Patriots a run for their money? Are you gonna get slapped around like the Lions did? What's going on?
Oh no, we're it's happening, man. We're gonna get slapped around here. I'm gonna go Bears taking the taking the L. They're gonna go to
Rough.
on a 4 game losing streak. I don't see it. This has technically been a mini bye. Right, they played that Thursday night football game that kicks off week 6. It kind of distorts the NFL week a little bit with that early game, but we're going to be on prime time again. The Bears historically find a way to stink it up on prime time. I don't think that this changes going into Foxborough, and I think it's going to be one where it's a bit of an eye opener for the Bears fans. I think the front office knows what kind of football team they have. I think the head coach and the coaching staff know exactly what kind of football team they have. And I think that we're just going to see them really try to just make the most out of giving some younger guys reps. And I think that that's the type of season that we are signing up for as diehard Bear fans, right? Is see what we have, see a year long roster analysis. They are proving that they're making changes. Obviously, point to that Amir Smith-Marset example of accountability in the roster. I think that we're going to see a bit of a shakeup in the offensive line just so they can assess different people in different positions. And I think also we're going to see some changes in that punt return game. I don't think that Velus Jones is going to trot out there to return some punts. Young man looks absolutely shell shocked out there trying to field punts. He only returned 18 in the SEC his senior season. And, I think the Bears, if anything, the silver lining is, what you got. And that's not a punt returner. Right. And so I hope, I hope that, they get some good looks. And with all that being said, that's the long-winded reason why I believe that the game is not a good one, Miles. I'm not gonna, I'm not going to sugarcoat that one at all. I think the Bears lose this one 28-14.
28-14. Yeah, I probably agree with that score, to be honest. I might run it up to 35 and give you like a 35-21 prediction for the Bears there. Bill's not a run it up kind of guy. I don't expect that, if he finds something to beat the Bears on, that he's going to do it. I think he's going to try to do what he did a lot to the Packers. He's going to try to run it down your throat and keep his offense on the field. And when he's got his defense on the field going against Justin Fields, I think he's going to force Justin Fields to make some decisions. I think he's going to force him to run and use his athleticism, and he might get beat on that a couple of times. Fields probably has a good day on the ground here, but overall, it's going to be tough for them to find points. It's probably generous to give them 21, but I still think that you do have playmakers in that offense. Fields is an athlete. You'll find a way to get some points out of him, but I can't give you 21. I'm gonna probably go like 35-14.
Wow. So you have a whole nother touchdown in there.
Yeah, I can't give you three scores.
All right.
You look terrible against the Commanders.
All right. Well, not as terrible as our season record, sir, because let me just remind you and our listeners at home that you are in second place on a two-man show. So I don't know what you want to call that.
Hey, man, I have an even record. I am not losing, so I know something.
Yeah, you are at 500 miles. I'll give you that. You're 3-3, and you match your Packers record. I'm 4-2, so take it with a grain of salt. But that's my prediction for this upcoming Monday night game, where the Matt Eberflus led, Justin Fields led Bears go into Foxborough and go head to head with Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. Monday Night Football, Miles.
Whew. Yeah, I always love Monday Night Football. That's the one where it's like I don't really care who's on. I like having it on. I like watching it. So looking forward to it. But yeah, I don't see a lot of hope for the Bears there. Now, the Packers. I don't know if I imagine we probably got the noon game here, going up against the Commanders. I gotta say here, I don't know a lot about what to expect in this game because it's going to depend so much on what the Packers decide to do offensively. Are they going to get Aaron Jones involved or are they not? If they don't, I think we see exactly what we've seen the last 2 weeks. You're going to see a frustrated offense that can't move the ball and doesn't score more than 10 or 14 points. If they can get Aaron Jones going, and I think they have to. If you don't, you're just negligent at this point. I think they win a tough one, a close one. If they win a frustrating one, but they win it, which gets you there all the more. 28-27, get a last score there. Take that 1 point lead and close the game out. I do expect the defense to look, better. They've improved. This is an offense that doesn't have a real identity. They've got some good receivers, some decent backs, but they're not really striking fear in any defensive coordinator hearts, it doesn't seem like. So, I think you've got the talent on the defense. You've hopefully got an improved Joe Barry, and he's figuring out how to mix in man coverage, which he did this last week. They've just got to put all the pieces together on that defense, and I think they keep the game under control. So, yep, 28-27. That's what I'm going with.
Wow. Well, here goes nothing, man. So I'm going
Let me have it.
1916 Green Bay.
Ooh.
I think that if you think that it's going to be a pretty Sunday, I think you're in for a rude awakening. I think it's going to be an ugly, ugly game. I think that front seven is going to prove to be the only highlight on that Commanders team is that pass rush, and I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to feel it. I really do. So I think that that's going to frustrate him. It's going to obviously spill over into the performance of that offense, and I think it's just one of those where it's not a fun game to watch as a fan. I think it is one that's going to be frustrating, but at the end, I do see Aaron Rodgers leading a fourth quarter game-winning drive for that 1916 victory.
Yeah, we agree on that one of those signature drives there at the end to get what you need and get out.
Yeah, unless he gets, like that Giants game-ending drive. That one was beautiful.
Yeah, when he had his head placed firmly up his own ass. Yeah, that was beautiful.
Well, they say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? So for me, it was beautiful. For you, probably not so much. But boy, it was nice to see that last Hail Mary plan was thwarted very quickly by that pass rush.
Yeah, I'm sure the haters would have really hated to see him add another Hail Mary to his repertoire there. That would have been beautiful. I'm not gonna lie. I was really hoping
that's
for
the
that.
only way to, I believe, defend an Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary is just to make sure he doesn't get it off.
It is. They executed that perfectly. Get in there and make sure he cannot take a full swing throw. I mean, he had to really get that heave. He couldn't do it. So, they're figuring out what to do and how to stop him. And I hope that he's paying attention and doesn't think that he's smarter than everybody, because he's not. So, anyway, just a little extra at the end there.
A little extra, but man, speaking of Monday night, I added that to the bucket list.
Yeah, dude, you got to talk about that, man. You had some excellent seats at that game. You had an excellent game.
Yeah.
Like, man, give us a little fan perspective of what SoFi Stadium was like on Monday night.
Yeah, well, first let me give credit where credit is due. I was invited to this game by my wife's family, aunt and uncle, and they have a pretty cool hookup to the owner's suite from Pachanga, and which is a casino out here. And so I was just a beneficiary of getting this invitation. And let me tell you, Miles, it was definitely a way to experience a football game. SoFi Stadium, obviously, $5 billion. I think I've said this before on the show. It's beautiful. It's a cathedral for football, and getting that view, that perspective. I mean, that's definitely a bucket list, once in a lifetime experience. So I'm just happy I got to get that Monday Night Football under my belt. Have you attended? You've attended primetime Monday night, Miles?
I have. I can't think of this a specific Monday night, but I'm pretty sure I've been to a Monday night. Definitely been to a couple of Sunday nights. Um, yeah, it really is. Those primetime games, man. Whether
Oh,
it's SoFi Stadium or Lambeau, it is electric. Absolutely
yeah.
love going to a primetime game.
Yeah, so there was obviously, as you can imagine, being in LA, there was a lot of traveling Denver fans. So I had a good time after inhaling some chicken tenders and some beers in the suite, walking out of SoFi, just hitting them with the Broncos country. Let's ride. I think I may have said that like over 100 times walking out.
Let's
So.
ride.
Let's ride. Let's
Let's
ride.
ride.
Yeah, they didn't appreciate that a whole lot, and I wouldn't I wouldn't either.
No,
If we paid $250 to a quarterback that just looks absolutely out of
just not
place, and
good.
yeah, I don't know. I can tell you it was super fun being there, Miles. How was
Oh
it
yeah.
watching that game at home?
Well, so I was on daddy duty for most of the game, so I only got to watch in chunks. But anytime you get a game that comes down to the wire like that, it goes into OT. I mean, I love that. As long as it's not the Packers in that situation, watching other teams have a close battle. I'm not a big fan of bad football. I hate bad football, but in general, two NFL teams that go into overtime, it's exciting to watch. And that one was, man, it was back and forth, and you thought it was going to end, and it didn't, and it just,
Yeah.
that was wild. I mean, it was
Well,
frustrating, I'm sure, but I mean, I just, again, I love kind of watching that suspenseful, uh, you know, just not sure what's going to happen game as long as it's not my team in the dogfight.
yeah. Well, I'll say this is that was a first for me Monday night wise, but it was the second time that I've seen a Khalil Mack team beat Denver on a game winning kick. So I don't know if I just need like if anybody that is not a Denver fan wants to send me to the stadium when their team is playing, I can almost guarantee that you will win on a last second kick to take the W. And it was fun to watch. It's an experience like none other, and I think there might be some trouble in paradise with some of those skill positions out in Denver. Miles, I think Melvin Gordon is a little frustrated. I think Jerry Judy is a little bit frustrated as well.
Dude, I love the videos that keep coming out of Melvin Gordon, man. He's like the one who's got his mind right, and the rest of them keep coming around, and he's like, geez, what is wrong with you? You okay, man? I mean,
Yeah.
because the look
Well,
he was giving to Jerry Judy while he was just going off and ranting, he's just like, man, all right. Like, I hear you. Like, geez, dude.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I'll tell you what is being there, sitting amongst some there was some Denver fans in the suite with us, and they are not big Melvin Gordon fans. They're almost like put up or shut up because he's been fumbling the ball so much that they're I think they're just so frustrated with the team, right? And I think I even said this in the suite to the Denver fans because they were like, "What are you, a Chargers fan?" I said, "No, I'm a Bears fan. Trust me, I know what bad offense. Like we don't need to have a do you know what bad offense is discussion. I'm a Bears fan. I know plenty." But I think that they might be there as fans as well. I think they're just so disgusted with that offense that they're not carrying water for anybody.
well, they should be. I mean, you said it. Like, when you invest that kind of money into
A
that
quarter
thing,
billion dollars,
get
Mile.
out of well, and the draft capital they gave up, the players they gave up, get out of here, man. Like that
Let's
was
ride.
too. Like, you got to be good. You better be
Let's
good. If
ride.
that's the yeah, let's ride, let's ride, let's ride.
Let's ride.
Broncos country, let's ride.
Broncos
Yeah.
country. Golly, I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
I mean, and look, you do have some good pieces on that offense, so it's super frustrating when you got this top arm quarterback, or supposed to be, who can't get the ball to these guys. I mean, you look across that line and those receivers, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Judy. The other one I can't remember. Hamler, or is Hamler on the Vikings? I can never remember. They got their third one is good. I mean, they have a really
Yeah, no
strong
shortage of
receiver
talent.
room, and you can't get them the ball. But you're supposed to be one of the better QBs in the game still, Russ. Like, what's going on here? So
Well, I
it's
mean,
just
we're not a pick on Denver podcast, but this is now multiple weeks where we're just saying, I mean, Russ
it
just
looks
doesn't look
bad.
right.
It looks
Yeah.
bad. It looks really bad, and it's just kind of easy to make fun of, I guess, because Melvin Gordon's over here just giving stink eye to everybody.
Yeah,
And
Melvin
if I was a
Gordon just wants
Denver
to get shipped
fan,
off.
he's got to be like way down on the list of things to be frustrated about if you're a Denver fan. I mean, he's not like costing you a ton of money. It's not like he's some kind of jerk, embarrassing the team or making a big deal. I mean, he seems like a good guy. He's over there splitting carries with your other guy who's going to be the RB of the future. You'll be fine. But
Yeah.
you're right, dude. I think that's where they are. They are, we've invested in the future, and the future is not good.
Here's why I'll say they deserve better, Miles, because there was some Tim Tebow jerseys out there Monday night. I mean, this franchise,
Oh,
these fans, I mean, they deserve better than what's out there right now. I
like
don't
you're
think
still wearing a Tim Tebow jersey. I don't know if I'd say you deserve better. I mean, come on. I mean, he's not even like one of the top
so
10 best
so you didn't catch the
quarterbacks in that
sarcasm there,
franchise.
Miles?
And I mean, I guess I had to catch it and spike it too. I mean, it's just like, I'm more calling out these fans. What are they doing? You guys are wearing Tim Tebow jerseys. What is going on here? That guy won
Oh
one
man.
playoff game. Hey, and no hate towards Tebow. I'm sure he's a great guy. He's doing some pretty smart business stuff. It looks like, but you're not wearing. Why are you wearing his jersey? Why you get like? He didn't win anything meaningful. He got you one playoff win, and that's it. Like, come
That
on.
means a lot, Miles.
Oh, oh man, on a team that had John Elway and Peyton Manning, like y'all, come on.
Hey, there were some Manning jerseys out there. There were some Elway jerseys, but
Oh,
there was some Tim Tebow sprinkled in there.
oh, I don't. Yeah, I don't get it. What? But hey,
Well,
power to
before we
you.
wrap up
Fan
the
how
month,
you fan.
yeah, fan how you fan. Hey, I like that. Fan how you fan. Oh,
Yeah.
welcome back to OG Rivals podcast. Fan how you fan. The best part here, and I'll wrap it up here with the Monday night experience, was they had beautiful bars and beautiful food stations laid out. They had sushi. They had tomahawk steak. You want to know the best part about the suite, Miles?
What's that?
The candy
Tomahawk
bars.
steak.
The
Oh, you had
candy
candy
bars.
bars?
They had full size, and I'm talking any candy you can think of, Miles, like a candy store. Any candy you can think of.
And this was in the suite?
This was in there. There's like so there's suites in the hallway, and then there's the
Okay.
doors to your suite, and then there's a general area once you get past the access point,
Okay.
and it's like a very nice lounge food buffet.
Candy
They
shop.
have like I said, they have these sushi stations. They have scalloped potatoes and tomahawk steaks. Like, I was so out of place in this experience. It was like so awesome to experience this. And like, obviously they have like your beer brats and your hot dogs and burger station, like if that's what you want, right? And I I text my buddy Danny, like, Danny, you won't believe like where I'm at Monday night. And he's like, definitely make sure you're getting some chicken tenders and beer tonight. And I told him, I immediately like screen. I took a picture of the chicken tenders there in the suite, but none of that compared to just having access to as much candy
Just full
as
candy
I could,
bars.
just full and I was like a kid in a candy store, no pun intended. Like, I saw the
Yeah.
Reese's, the peanut butter Reese's cups, and I just went straight for them.
I was about to say,
And
so what's your choice here? It's the Reese's Cups?
yeah, it was the
Okay.
Reese's cups,
Excellent.
man.
Excellent
I left
choice.
everything else alone, focused on the Reese's cups. And there's just, I think I've found a pleasure in life. I think I enjoy having Reese's cups and watch football. it's a great combination, Miles, and I highly encourage our listeners. I highly encourage you, check it out. Let me know what you think. An incredible combination.
Hey, bonus points if you freeze them first.
Yes. Oh,
So
that's
telling you
OG,
what,
Miles. Some
telling
people
you
would say
what.
that's an OG move.
Well, some OG things have led to the discovery of that. That's for sure.
Yeah, freezing them and then pulling them out after they're frozen. It's like you have almost like a little ice cream Reese's treat.
Yeah, man. It's get a little crisp to it, a little crunch almost. It's just
Yeah,
chef's kiss. I'm telling you.
yeah. Hey, so
Um,
we gotta do that sometime in the future. Is make our way out to a game and maybe finding our way into a suite somehow.
oh, I bet we could finagle something
We could
between the two of
finagle it.
us. We'll find something to make that happen. I'm not sure how yet, but the
Yeah,
forces of the universe will come together.
we're here for the candy bars.
I'm not here for any of your luxury items. Give me the candy bars, damn
No,
it.
keep the tomahawk steak.
Yeah, keep the
Keep the
steak.
sushi. I'm
No,
here
but
for the
it's
Reese's.
in all seriousness, it would be really cool, and we can do some of this, fan planning in the off season. It'd be really cool if we could get to a Packers Bears matchup at Lambeau. Maybe do one at Lambeau, one at Soldier Field, or whatever the future location is.
Yeah,
And instead of having people talk about us at their tailgate, we'll talk about us at our tailgate,
no
and have
kidding.
just like some badass tailgate for the OG rivals.
That'd be awesome, man. I really do think that we can do that, and it would be an honor, obviously, to visit Green Bay and visit Lambeau Field. I think that that's definitely on the bucket list as well, and I think the experience is, if anything, if we can't get a suite this year or next year, Miles, I should say, maybe we'll just freeze some Reese's, put them in the backpack, and just head to the stadium.
Hey, that's not a bad recipe
It's
either. I
not a
mean,
bad day.
we can make that happen. There's fun
Yeah.
times to be had in the tailgate world.
Oh,
Um,
last thing,
yeah.
halftime. Kahlua coffee.
Ooh,
They think of
excellent,
everything, Miles.
excellent. Yes, like don't interfere with my buzz, but yes, I do need a little bit of a pick me up.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect. It's perfect, and highly recommend that as well.
Oh man, yeah, that one's a good one. Especially as it starts to get colder, in a lot of these locations, obviously not California. But yeah, as it starts to get colder, that coffee and whiskey at the halftime, maybe ooh,
Yeah,
that'll hit. That'll hit good.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but hey, speaking of what'll hit, feeling better today is something that we can all agree on. Is something we should strive for, right? I mean, nobody wakes up and is like, "Nah, I don't really care to feel better today." If you do, please join us on the podcast at some point. We would love to hear from you and how you live because it sounds awesome. For the rest of you, check out lifeleafremedies.com. We have a special going on our Sweet Dreams gummies right now because we want y'all to try them, and they are so delicious. A small sample just will not do. We're giving away a free $60 count, 60 gummy bottle for everybody who spends $75 or more on the website. So, that's a $40 value. I mean, shoot, we're giving these things away for a song right now. So, y'all come on, check it out. Check out these gummies. Get yourself a big, nice, healthy bottle, 60 count, and subscribe to any of the products. Get free shipping and feel better today. That's what we're out here trying to do. If y'all really love the natural remedies, natural ingredients, a natural, healthy lifestyle, we're here to help you do that. And we got all sorts of stuff we're working on coming out here in the future. So stay tuned. And again, feel better today, y'all. And sir, what do you got for us here?
yeah. Well, I got a legal disclaimer. Miles won't be sending you $60.
It's
So
not
want to make
$60. I will
want to
go
make sure
broke.
that we clarify that. Just have that out in the ether. And also, if you enjoy, please don't forget to spike that like button, leave us a comment, subscribe, and talk about us at your next tailgate, especially as they get cold. Come on, y'all. Football's
Let's
still here. 11
go.
weeks left. Let's
Let's
go. Bear down.
go. Hey, go, Pack, go.
Relax.